we're going to be working on, we're going to start off by working on this quiz. This is quiz 2.1. It's the second quiz in the packet. The packet starts off looking like this. Statistics quizzes in the top is the fifth packet in your packet of handouts you got from the library. So again, it should start with this. If for some reason it starts with this instead, if you have a packet, sorry, not that. This, if your packet starts with this page instead, with number 2 as the first page of the packet, then that means that you were, there are a handful of copies that got miscopied, and so the first 4 pages got left out, and there are, you can either print off those 8 pages, those 4 sheets of paper, or you can stop by the library, in front of the library at Las Positas, and there's a manila folder that says missing quizzes on it. Missing quizzes 1 through 4, and that is these quizzes here, and just grab one of those. It's just, like I said, just 4 sheets, pieces of paper stapled together, and you can grab those. But again, the packet should have this as the front page, Statistics Quizzes, Quiz Chapter 1. That's the one we did last class, and then the one we're working on here is this one right now, Quiz 2.2. So in your groups, I'm going to break you guys out in there to do this in your groups. You're going to just do problems 1 and 2 for now, and then I'll put you guys back in about 10 minutes to talk about problem number 3 before I send you off. Oh, sorry, one more thing. So here is the Jamboard for that, the Google Sheet that tells you which Jamboard to go to, the Google Docs. So just right-click on your whatever room you're in. If you're breaking on room 2, right-click on that one and click on the open link to get there. I am texting the link to this Jamboard sheet in chat right now. So you should get that in chat. You should have that. And then as soon as you get into your breakout room, go ahead and introduce yourselves to each other. Share something about yourself, like what a hobby you have or an activity you like to do or a pet you have, and get to know each other a little bit, and then start in on problems 1 and 2 on your quiz. Okay. Welcome back, everybody. Oops, I'm muted. You guys have to help me out because I get muted every time I come back. So every time I start talking and you guys can't hear me, just jump right in and say, Ms. Young, hello, you're muted, because I will forget every time. I promise you. Okay, so we are back. Let's see where we are. So again, with the quizzes, I'd like you guys to maybe take the first 5 minutes if you want and try to do it on your own first, and then check in with your neighbors, or take the first couple minutes maybe on your own, try to figure it out, then ask your neighbors, so that you're attempting it on your own first, right? And giving that a try, because like I said, on the exams, it's all you. It's not group work. So you gotta make sure you can at least attempt it on your own, and then when you struggle, then, try to figure it out, and then try to figure it out again, and then ask neighbors. Okay, so today we are going to be obviously doing this quiz, which is the second page of the 5th packet of quizzes. And then we're going to do chapter 2.2, histograms. We might get to other graphs. I don't think we will, but we might. Today, we have do Connect Math Homework Chapter 1. So Connect Math Homework, I don't have a link to Canvas. It's just a separate website, the way I do it. So go to Connect Math, do the homework there, and I will check the grades there. You do not have to worry about uploading them or changing them in any way to Canvas. I will do that. Actually, I'll move them from one to the other. I don't know which way, but just do it in Connect Math and you're good to go. So you have 2 spots where you're doing homework Connect Math. You're doing them on Connect Math, and then the Excel labs, those you are turning in on Canvas. So those are those are where those 2 places go. So Connect Math is just on Connect Math, and the Excel lab, you're submitting those by uploading an Excel file to Canvas. So you can do it in Google Sheets, that's fine, but then it's on you to figure out how to do that in Google Sheets. I have shown you how to do it in Excel, and if you don't want to use Excel, then you need to figure out how to make it work on Google Sheets on your own. And at the end, you'll need to export that Google Sheet to an Excel file and save that. and then upload the Excel file to Canvas. There are instructions for these somewhere. Oh, over here. Oops. Maybe here. Sure. So if you go to the Excel Labs with videos, under the Start Here, then it is right here, Lab 1, due September 1st. There's a description, which explains to you how to do the lab, and then a video, which is pretty good. It leaves out the last part about the last two charts, because those are relatively new. The other thing is that these tell you to print. Don't print them out, just turn them into the Excel file. You don't have to print anything out this semester because we're all online. So no worries about that. Okay. And I think, yeah, go ahead.
About the chart.
Yes.
They all still be a part of that Excel workbook?
Yes.
Okay.
The charts should be just right on in there. Just, here's your, put it on either page you want, and the questions, the answers to the questions, just type those on one of those worksheets as well. The bottom of the first or second worksheet, just type it in there, the answers to the questions. It's due next Tuesday. You can turn it in late on Thursday, but still get full credit for it. Because I know people have things going on, life happens, and you guys are students, so a lot of times you don't start it till the last minute, and you may hit glitches then. But Tuesday is the day to get all of your glitches out, and then just make sure you get it in. Try to get it in on Tuesday, and then if something happens and you can't do that, then at least get it in by Thursday. Great.
I have another question.
Yes.
For the labs, will we be tested at any point on how to use Excel?
Nope. But you have to do Excel labs because we're required to do technology labs as part of our agreement with the UCs and the Cal States, the CSUs, to make this class for college credit, for them to accept as college credit. We have to have some campuses it's a project. This campus it's technology labs, so we have to have a minimum number of those. So I'm doing close to the bare minimum of those for you guys. The other thing I mentioned last class, but I'll mention it one more time, is that that if you're having trouble connecting on Wi-Fi, there's a couple different options. One is if you really have trouble with Wi-Fi, like in general, we do have a limited number at Las Positas of these Wi-Fi routers, like little hotspots that we are loaning to students. We try to save those for students who are really in need, but we do have those that you can check out for the semester. We also have Wi-Fi available on campus for free in parking lots C and D, which are not shaded, which is unfortunate, but it is there. We'll try to get them switched to something that's shaded in the future, but you can hang out in your car and access Wi-Fi that way. Or, worst case scenario, what you can do is you can download the PowerPoints for free ahead of time. I usually have those up, unfortunately not a whole lot ahead of time. I usually put those up, last night I think I got up around 3 a.m. in the morning before today's class, so either early in the morning you can download it, and then you can call in on your telephone into Zoom, and you can be on Zoom on your phone. You may have to at some point tell me that you're here on the phone, because I may not, know that you're here. I may not connect it with you. Usually I can, but just in case. And then you can listen to it, and you can talk and ask questions on the phone, and you can follow along on the PowerPoint. So that's a possibility, right? So it's worst case if you don't have Wi-Fi, then that's a way of getting around it. You would have to have Wi-Fi at some point to download them, but otherwise, you wouldn't have to have as much Wi-Fi as you have for Zoom. Okay, great. We also have concurrent support classes going on. So these are great classes that are here to help you do better and pass this class the first time around, because it's not necessarily easy to pass the first time around. A lot of people will not pass the first time because it's just so different. Statistics is so different. There's all these different words and and processes that are very different from algebra or things you've seen in the past. So because of that, it often takes two attempts to pass it. So we are having these support classes to help you, work on certain aspects of the class or get instruction from a different, explained from a different perspective from a different instructor. It meets 2.5 hours a week. If you do it and participate and you're there and you're attending that class, you get 1 point extra credit on every exam. Just email me and let me know you're doing it. I'll check with the instructor in your section to make sure that you're enrolled and that you're attending, and then you can get 1 point extra credit for that. You can either do it for credit, where you pay for it, Math 100C, or you can get it non-credit, which is free. It's NMAT 200C, and let me show you how to get to that because it's not intuitive necessarily. So you go to Las Positas and go to our college fall schedule, and if you kind of look down, here are all the non-credits. So this is non-credit math, LPC right there, and you can see them all. It's all the 200Cs. They are the SLAM math. Do not do the STEM math. You don't want the STEM math. You want SLAM math. And all those CRNs are here on the side. You can see them. You're kind of all in there. So those are the ones you can sign up for. And I would recommend the last two, Zachary Strauss. So these two down here, which are, this would be the one you guys would have to take because the other one's during our class, but it's 3:30 to 4:45 because he does teach it. His approach to statistics is very similar to mine, but he does lend kind of a slightly different perspective. Okay, great. Also, in Connect Math, let me show you guys how to get in there and what's going on with that. So some people had issues with how do I do the homework and all that other stuff. So let me show you. You have to go to the actual Connect Math website and log in. If you guys haven't done it, it's in my syllabus. So if you look at the syllabus, maybe I should show you guys that. So syllabus, the very front page, there's this thing in red, right? Here's a link to Connect Math, and this is the course you need to register for. That's my course ID. If you go down to the page 2, middle of page 2 in red, there is the temporary access code for 2 weeks free. So you can get 2 weeks free to start off with to kind of get going. And then it'll take you into my course, which looks like this. And your assignment will be the first one, homework chapter 1 is due. You need to have pop-ups enabled because this is obviously a pop-up. It's not the actual website. It's not the web browser. It's a pop-up. So you need to have, oops, what happened? I don't know. I did something weird. You need to have pop-ups enabled. And you also need to have Adobe Flash installed and enabled as well. Then you can start it. It might ask you to run Adobe Flash like this guy is right here. Allow. And then it'll pop up. So again, if you don't have pop-ups enabled, then you're going to be kind of SOL on that. All right, so a couple things. One is, notice these things over here, solve it, guided solutions, show examples. These are valuable. This is what you're paying for. This is to help you solve it right away without, struggling in a book or having to wait to ask me or something like that. So try these first. If these don't help you, then you can ask me. But I take a little longer to get back to you, right? I'm not, available immediately. But this show me an example will show you, kind of walk you through how to do it and show you an example of how to do it. If you say guided solution or solve it, it will solve it for you and kind of walk you through, guided solution will kind of walk you through stuff and have you pick things and say, oh, no, you got this wrong. It should have been something else. You got that one wrong, too. But it kind of helps you, well, maybe it should be this one. It shows you the correct answer and your answer to kind of help you do it. And then, here's the thing, guys. When you do that, you have it wrong. You have not solved this yet. you can still solve it. You just have to try another button, and it'll give you a brand new problem. Right, so that's the thing, is that you need to do the try another button, and you have up to 5 different problems that you can do before I cut you off. So you get a few different attempts at each one, and if you mess that one up, you can try another one. But before you get to too many try another's, make sure you've done these show examples and asked me before you get to that, I don't know, 7th or 8th one, whichever one I've set, because once you get to that, it's too late and you're kind of done. But at any rate, it's totally possible. You should totally be able to get 100% on all your homeworks. And homework is worth like 25 or 30% of your grade in this class. It's worth a lot because I dropped a lot of the exam grade and put it into homework instead. Also, there is an ebook here if you want the textbook. You click on that. There's other resources here. These are great resources, so that also helps you. These are all, you can go here to videos. And these are all videos for all different sections. So pick a section. There's chapter 6, section 3. So 6.3, it gives you videos on those things. And you have those. Those are all things that you've paid for. So make use of them. Okay. Great.
Professor?
Yes.
A question on the attempts to try another.
Uh-huh.
There's 5 times we can try on each question? Or
I think it's like 3. I don't know. It depends upon the question, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think it varies from question to question depending upon, some of them are true-false. So I think you might only get 1 attempt on the true-false, possibly.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
But even if you try it the second time, you still get the full credit, right?
I believe so, yes. Yeah. There's occasional times when it's a true-false where it doesn't let you, and you might have to start the whole homework over again, possibly. I think that might be how that one works. Right, so that would be the only one I'm not sure about. Okay, so problem 1 on your quiz. This is your answer to problem number 1 on the quiz. Pretty straightforward. Yes? You can have these as decimals, or you can have them as percents, 5%, 45%, 30%. Either one's okay. Cumulative frequency, that's how many data points are in that class or a previous class. In other words, how many up to that point and including that point. Cumulative relative frequency is when you do cumulative frequency, everything in the previous class and including that class, but not frequencies. Do it on the relative frequencies. You're adding up the percentages. So cumulative frequencies adds up these guys here, right, in the frequencies. Cumulative relative frequency adds up these guys here. It's going to be adding in those guys. Make sense? Okay. And then, like we talked about last class, there's group frequency distributions. They're split into equal-sized classes. The classes should be equal in size. It can be open-ended on the bottom or the top, and the second question will go into how we decide that. But first, let's go ahead and read some of these things here. Let's get Zachary, go ahead and read for us.
The rules for classes and group frequency distributions.
Keep going.
One. There should be 5 to 20 classes. Number 2, the classes must be mutually exclusive. Number 3, the classes must be continuous. 4, the classes must be exhaustive. And 5, the classes must be equal in width. That's open distribution. Perfect.
Thank you. So I think I talked about this last class. Didn't I? Did I explain what these all meant last class? I believe I did. 5 to 20 classes is self-explanatory. Mutually exclusive, so you can't go from like 1 to 5 and then 5 to 10, because then 5 would have 2 classes it can be in. 5 should only be able to be in 1 class. You can't double count it. Continuous, you can't skip spots. So you can't go like 0 to 5 and then 7 to 12 and not have any spot for 6 to go. They have to be exhaustive. So if your data goes up to 120, you can't stop at 100. You have to go all the way to, you have to give 120 some spot to go. And then they have to be equal in width. So each class should be the same width. Open-ended classes would be the only exception to that. You guys have something else in there about the classes needing to be, the class width needing to be even or something like that. Cross that out. That's wrong. Your book says that. Jim Hannon, the real statistician, he says that's garbage. They're odd all the time. So that's just something weird about Lumen, and cross that out. This is what we talked about last class, right? These are the lower class limits here. All these ones are the lowest possible value that can be in a class. These are the upper class limits, the highest values that can be in a class. And these are the class boundaries, the numbers between, right? So this is this guy's lower limit. This one is his upper limit and his lower limit. Right? This guy is his upper limit and his lower limit, if that makes any sense. So those are the boundaries between them. Class width, we find that by taking successive classes and subtracting either their lower class limits or their upper class limits or their boundaries, either one. But take any two classes in a row that are next to each other, and you're going to subtract their lower class limits or their upper class limits, and you'll always get the same number. You always get the class width, because class width is the same between each class. The class width is the width between classes, so from this class to that class. How far is it from 70 to 50? It's 20. How far is it from 129 to 149? That's 20. And then midpoints. So midpoints are the numbers in the middle of the class, right? Smack dab in the middle. So the number in the middle between 50 and 69, average them. Anything in the mid, whenever it starts with the mid, that means the middle. So you're going to average the ends, and you'll get 59.5. So and identify the class width, class midpoints, and class boundaries. You guys did this. Let's see. I think I was going to have group 3 explain this one. Let me pull it up. I think this is group 3. So group 3, go ahead and someone from group 3, please explain.
Explain how to limit the classes, right?
Yeah, so first, how do you find the class width?
The class width basically we did is different the biggest number. Okay, so like 59.0. I'll just subtract it from the lower boundary, which was 63.9, and we got about 5 out of that.
That's not 5. You can't subtract these two. That won't work.
Oh, sorry, it's not from 64. I'm sorry. It's not from 64.
Right. So you took these two and subtracted them. Great. Perfect. That's how you find your class width. Perfect. Great. And then how did you find your midpoints?
Midpoints was we took the two numbers, 59 and 63, added them together, divided by 2, and got that number.
Good. So class width is 5. And then, so you said you added these two and divided by 2 to get 61.45, and then how did you find the rest of them?
Then we kind of realized that you can just add a 5 to the midpoint, you might get the rest of them after we did like a couple.
Right. And why is it 5? Because 5 is the class width, guys. It's not always 5. When your class width is 5, then you'd add 5. When your class width is 10, you'd add 10. Makes sense, because everything should be separated by a class width. So these two are separated by one class width. These are separated by one class width. You can subtract them, or subtract them, or subtract them to get your class width. Great. Some people have some ideas for changing the classes to be fewer classes with at least one open-ended. I did not give you guys sufficient information to solve that. So I just wanted to see what you guys said. And some people had ideas. What they were thinking was maybe the common one I think was to combine these and have them be class widths of 10. So you'd combine each of these. And that wasn't a bad idea. But the idea of an open-ended class is this. The reason why we have an open-ended class is because I have, look at this. This is all nice data in here. Do you guys see this part, these first four? But then I have all these zeros in here. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Everyone see those? That's way too many empty classes. So what kind of makes more sense is to combine them all into one class, and that class would be, all these into one class, and that would be 79 and up. Does that, are you guys understanding what I'm saying? Because it's silly to have all, what this is an outlier. Right, so let me use this one down here, which is somewhere between 104 and 108.9. It's an outlier. And the problem with it is that you don't, it's most of your data really is over here in these first four groups. And then you got nothing for a long time, and there's one tiny weird number way out here. So rather than have all these classes in there that are doing nothing, essentially, it makes a lot more sense just to say, just to combine them all into one class and just go, boom, one class, 79 and up, because of this outlier. Good?
Would that mean that the class widths are different then?
Well, yeah, so it means that, so class widths need to be the same, except for the open-ended class. That's the one exception, is the open-ended class. So if we kind of look back at our PowerPoint, classes must be equal in width, except for the open-ended one. Does that make sense? The open-ended class would not be equal in width. That'd be the one that would be different. But all the rest of them should be the same. It's a great question. Thank you for asking that. And clearly someone's paying attention. That's awesome. Yay! Okay.
And I have a question.
Yes, please.
So, if this move is perfectly legal and it's from 79 and up, how exactly will we find the midpoint and put this number?
Yeah, so that's the problem, is you really can't. So that's the issue, that we really like to not do that. Right? It should be by far the exception and not the rule, because you can't really find the midpoint. It screws up your histogram, it screws up your frequency polygon, it screws up everything, right? Except for maybe your ogive. So we really like to not do that. That's the bottom line. Like Jim Hannon would say, well, you really want to maybe not do that at all, right? He kind of discourages that in general. So, yeah, but this would be the rare situation where you would have something like that. If I only had two classes of zeros, and I had one in, if I had like, if this was 90 and not 105 or whatever it is, then I might just leave the two classes of zero and have another class there. But 5 classes of zeros, that's kind of a lot. So yeah, it's definitely not preferable to have an open-ended class. You want to avoid it whenever possible.
I'm sorry, can you go back? I have a question, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Would, for the data, for all the groups, would it still be considered continuous if it's 63.9 and 64?
Yeah, because my data is in, okay, so, yeah, great question. It is a really good question. So, yes, you guys are asking super good questions. So, because my class limits have how many decimal places, guys? 1. So that means that, so here, my data has 1 decimal place. How do I know that? Because my lower and upper limits have one decimal. That's how you know.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So,
That makes,
yeah. So your limits are what your data is actually in. Totally.
thank you.
So yeah. So if the boundaries are one more decimal place than your data is actually in, so that means your boundaries can never be your data, because your data would be one less decimal place. So that's, yeah. Yeah, great question. Yeah, thank you for asking that. I'm glad you asked that. I should probably include that somewhere in my notes, because that's, maybe I'll just cut and paste this, actually. Control C. Yeah, I love it when you guys ask questions, because it always brings up interesting things I wouldn't have thought about that I should have. There we go. Perfect. Bold. Colored. Okay, good. Now we're going to go through the steps of creating a group frequency distribution. Can we get someone to read? How about Tate? Go ahead and read for us.
Okay. Start with the number of classes shared by the class with like two starting point. Choose the minimum value data value or the median value below. It adds the first lower class limit. Using the first lower class limit, add to the class with. Proceed to list the other lower class limits.
Perfect, thank you. Right, so for the starting point, choose the minimum data value or a convenient value below it for your first lower class limit, which means that, say you have a width of 5, then, so if I'm going in 5, if my data starts with 7, I might want to start at 5, and I'll show you more about that in like, I don't know, 3 minutes, 2 minutes actually, I think. So that's going to be interesting. And then how about Gavin? Go ahead and read starting from number 3 for us.
And the first upper limit by finding the data value that would come before the next class's lower limit. Proceed to find other upper class limits by adding the class limit. It is required to find the class boundaries. Take each individual data value and put the tally mark in the class. Add the tally marks to the frequency. If required, find the relative or cumulative frequency.
Perfect. So let me show you what I mean. So this is in our notes. So if you go to chapter 1 to 4 notes, it is in there somewhere. Right here. So right now we're on page 4 of our notes. So we just read this a little bit ago. Oh, did we talk about crossing this out? Cross this out. Right? This is wrong. Cross that out. Oh wait, no, that's right. Plus that's equal. Well, this one is wrong. That one's wrong. Cross that one out. Okay, and then we just talked about these a second ago. All right, now here's my example. This is my minimum. This is my maximum. So my width is, my range. Range is 134 minus 103, which is 31. Okay, so that's more than 25. So let's use class width. So use class width of 5. Do you guys remember me talking about my friend Jim Hannon and how we'd argue about what things about things being more readable versus what you're trying to say versus this strange sort of class width thing. I don't know if you guys remember, but the bottom line is, if you're, I'll write it down here. If, you might want to write this somewhere because it is sort of useful. If your range, in other words, you take the largest minus the smallest, largest minus smallest, value, is less than 25, do the computation. By the computation, I mean that thing that we talked about last class about width, a range divided by number of classes equals the width, right? Range divided by number of classes. However, if the range is 25 to maybe say 45, in that range, use class width of 5. This is just kind of a rule of thumb. If it's 45 to 100, use class width of 10. And this is why. Let me explain to you guys why. In general, well, actually, not in general. Yeah, the range is should fit inside. Oh, okay. So range should about equal your class width times your number of classes. Slightly less. It should be actually a little bit less then. Should be less than those two things. So if you take a class width and multiply by the number of classes you want, your range should be slightly less, has to fit inside of that. But be pretty close to it. You don't want to be like, way inside. So I don't want to be like, if I did like 110, if I did this, 110 to 119, 120 to 129, 130 to 139, 140 to 149, 150 to 159, then all of my data, it stops at 134. So if it stops at 134, then I'd have some data here, and here, but then I'd have nothing for these guys. You see what I'm saying? So that's why this would be too large. Instead, my range is 31, so just try dividing by 5. Divide by 5, I get 6, about 6. That seems like a decent number of classes. Does that make sense? So in other words, sort of think of it like this. It might be more math than some of you guys want to do, but sort of think of your range divided by your class width should be about the number of classes that you should have. Right, and again, you want to have, at least 5 classes, no more than 20. 5 to 10 is sort of a good number of classes to have. These are the same formula, by the way, right? It's not really a formula, it's more of a guideline. Okay, so now that I've talked about that ad nauseum, you'll get a feel for it. If your range is less than 25, then you just kind of feel it out. You can try a with, or better yet, yeah. Here, I would say even do this. If your class width is less than 25, you don't even have to do that. Just try class width of 2 or 3 and see which one you like better. That's actually the easiest thing to do. Don't even worry about the calculations, right? If your range is less than 25, just try a class width of 2 and see how that works with your data, and that gives you the kind of classes you want, or try a class width of 3 and see, just see which one you like better. I'd say if it's closer to your 20s, then you want to probably do a class width of 3. If it's closer to 10, you probably want to do a class width of 2. That would be what I would say. And if it's like 5, then you don't even need, and that's obvious, you don't need class widths then, Okay, are there questions about this? This is kind of a long talk about that. All right, so at any rate, I'm going to send you guys back into your rooms, but let me talk about what I want to start with. So I want to have a class width of 5. Is everybody on board with this part? Class width of 5? Are you guys all asleep? Okay, class width of 5. So I'm going to start with 103, and I'm going to round down to the 5 that's below 103. So think back when you were a kid and you learned how to count by 5s, right? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Right? What's the 5 that's less than 103? Anyone? Bueller? 100. Perfect. Right, so the 5 that's less than, like, say you only had $5 bills. You'd pay somebody $100, right, if you don't have any ones. So 100 would be the lower class limit, so you're going to start with 100. And then do not do the other part. Leave your upper boundary alone. Don't find it yet. So these are instructions. Everyone pay attention, guys. Wake up. So find your lower class limit like that, and then add a class width. All the classes are separated by a class width, so just add a class width. Add 5. 105. Find all of your lower boundaries first. So find all of those first before you do your upper boundaries. Find all your lower boundaries. And then, once you've found all the lower boundaries, then you can go in and figure out the upper boundaries. So how do I do that? Well, what's the number that comes before 105?
104.
104, perfect. What's the number that comes before 110? So look here, 110. What number comes before 110? 109, that's where the last one had to end. And then you can see, oh look, they're all separated by 5, a class width. What do you know? So just add a class width. You guys should be doing this on your page 5. This is our example we're doing together. Right? And then you want to find the boundaries. So let's see. Actually, I think I have this. Ooh, let me clear this. Right, so first, find your lowest class value. Find all the lower class limits first. Add a class width, add a class width, add a class width. Do all the lower class limits first before you go to the upper class limits. Then, fill in the upper class limits. Now find the boundaries. So in other words, you're going to find the number between 104 and 105. What's the number between 104 and 105? 104.5. 104.5 is his upper boundary and his lower boundary. So it's going to occur both spots, here and there. And then find the next one. Find all the rest of them. Then you find the frequencies. Someone said, well, how do you find the frequencies? Well, you have to tally them. So I would go up here and I'd look at them and say, okay, 112, and I'd mark that into, I'd make a little mark in the 112 spot. I'd say, okay, that one goes there. Actually, I'm going to do it like that. That one goes there. And then I'd say, okay, what's the next one? I don't have it there, do I? Oh, this is it right here. Yeah, that is it. Okay, great. So I'll put this off to the side. I'd say, okay, what's the next one? 103. Oh, no. That's right here. What's the next one? 127. So 127 is down, not there, down here. So I'd make a little mark there. And then what's the next one? 120. So then I'd go right here and make a little mark there. What's the next one? 134. I'd go down there and I'd make a mark there. And then what's the next one? 118. That's right here. So I have 2 marks there. And you kind of go through and you count up all of them and figure out where they go. And then when you're done, you'd end up with, you count up all the tally marks and you'd end up with your frequencies, which are right there. So there's 2 of them that are between 100 and 104 out here. There's 8 of them that are between 105 and 109 out here. And then after that, I want you guys to find your cumulative frequency, which again, remember that's how many are in that class or previous class. Cumulative frequency is on the frequency. So I want to emphasize something very quickly, guys. This is my frequency. My frequency is not a fraction. It's not a decimal. It's a whole number. It's how many people are in that group. It's the actual count, the frequency. How frequently does it happen? Relative frequency is the percentage. Cumulative frequency is the total, running total. Frequency, just plain frequency, is the actual number in that class. It should be a whole number. People get mixed up with that a little bit, so I want to emphasize that. So here are my cumulative frequencies. It's everything in that class or a previous class. So the first class is only 2, second class there's 8 plus 2, and so forth. So I want you guys to do your quiz. Quiz problem number 3. I'm going to send you guys out there to work on that one. And so work on it for 5 minutes. Your quiz, let me see if I can bring it up real quickly. So your quiz is here. It starts with 112. So you're going to want to round down to the nearest 5. All right. If you only had $5, what's the number below that? Below using only $5 bills. So find your class limits, find your boundaries. Yep. Frequencies, relative frequencies, cumulative frequencies, and midpoints. So I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes to work on this. And then the end of that 10 minutes at 6:18, take a break. Okay? And then we'll come back here at 6:28. So send you guys to your rooms. Go to your room. Work on this problem, maybe work on it on yourselves for 5 minutes, and then work on it in a group. And then take a break at 6:19. Sorry, 6:19, take a break, and 6:29 we'll come back. And then you guys, I need to move you guys into group 9, room 9. So William, you're in 9. Was it Zachary? Were you in 9 as well? And Eli, you were in 9. Dane. Did you just come in now, Dane? Is that right? Hold on. Let me see. Oh, wait, someone was in group 4. Who was in group 4? What? Dane, Jamila, Carla, one of you guys was in group 4. Which of you was in group 4 before? Or none of you? Who was in group 6?
Jamila.
Okay.
I thought I was in group 8.
8. Dane, you're in group 8. That seems likely. Yeah. And Carla, you don't remember what group you were in? Group 3? No, you were not in group 3. Look at your Jamboard. What number is on your Jamboard? 5 p.m. Gem B blank. On your Jamboard, at the top of your Jamboard, it should say Math 40, M40, 5 p.m., Jam B, and then a number. That's the bigger page, but the actual Jamboard, which looks like this, like on my screen. Do you have the Jamboard open? No? Okay, I'll throw you into one of the rooms then, if it doesn't matter. Sure. Hi guys, was Carla in your room or was she in a different room? Do you guys remember? Different room. Okay, Carla, I think you must have been an 8. I'll put you in 8. Sure. Hey guys, what's up? Question?
I just wanted to confirm you wanted 7 classes.
Yes, 7 classes works perfectly for this. Good.
Well, I was assuming there were 7 rows, but,
Yeah. Good assumption. I like your background. Nice bridge. Are those seals? Those are seals. Oh, very cool.
down the street on Playfair.
Ah, sweet. Or not seals, but like walruses. Whatever, sea lions, yeah.
No, Harbor Seals.
Oh, nice. Excellent. See you guys. Okay, so where am I? Oh, I should stop recording.